The slave market of Station Vex. 7 hummed with the usual cacophony of alien languages, but Aiden stood perfectly still, his human eyes scanning the cages with calculated disinterest. He'd learned long ago that showing emotion in places like this only inflated prices. Back again, human, the Kralix merchant hissed, his reptilian tongue flicking between serrated teeth. Still looking for cheap labor? Aiden shrugged, hands buried in the pockets of his worn leather jacket. Just browsing. That's when he saw her. The woman in cage 17 was unlike anything he'd seen in his 3 years trading on the Outer Rim. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her body covered in iridescent crimson scales that caught the station's artificial light. 2 massive wings were folded against her back, bound by energy chains that crackled with blue electricity. Her eyes, golden and fierce, locked onto his with an intensity that should have made him look away, but he didn't. A Draari warrior, the merchant said, noticing Aiden's gaze. From the legendary cohort, no less. Worth a fortune, but he lowered his voice. Damaged goods. Her neural link to her battle mech was severed. Useless for warfare now. Aiden approached the cage slowly. Up close, he could see the scars crisscrossing her scales, each one a testament to battles fought across galaxies. She gripped the bars with clawed hands, her knuckles white despite the crimson. Human, she said, her voice surprisingly soft for such a formidable creature. Please buy us. Us. Aiden raised an eyebrow. She stepped aside, revealing a smaller figure huddled in the cage's shadows. A girl, no more than 16, with the same crimson scales but smaller wings that trembled with fear. Her golden eyes were wide, tear-stained. My sister, Ava, the warrior woman said. She's never fought, never harmed anyone. They'll separate us at the next auction. Send her to the pleasure districts of Zephan Prime. Aiden's jaw tightened. He knew what happened to young, exotic species in those districts. The galaxy was beautiful and terrible in equal measure. What's your name? He asked the warrior. Syrinx, formerly of the Third Wing, legendary dragon cohort of Drakkar Prime. Pride flickered in her eyes even as she stood in chains. And you think a human freight hauler can help you? Aiden leaned against the cage, keeping his voice low. I'm not exactly wealthy, Syrinx. You're human. Ava spoke for the first time, her voice barely a whisper. We've heard stories. Humans are different. They don't see property. They see people. Aiden laughed bitterly. Kid, you've been listening to too many legends. Humans aren't saviors. But you could be, Syrinx pleaded, lowering herself to one knee so her eyes were level with his. A Draari warrior kneeling before anyone was unheard of. Aiden knew enough galactic history to understand the significance. I have something. Information. The coordinates to a Forerunner cache that my cohort discovered before the invasion. Technology worth billions. Buy us, free us, and it's yours. Forerunner tech is illegal to possess, Aiden said flatly. So is slavery in human space, Syrinx countered. Yet here you stand, in a slave market, and I don't see you reporting anyone. She had him there. Aiden studied them both. The proud warrior reduced to begging. The terrified girl who deserved better than the fate awaiting her. He thought of his own sister, long dead in the war that had scattered humanity across the stars. He thought of every promise he'd made to himself about not getting involved, about keeping his head down, about survival above all else. Then he thought about what his sister would say if she could see him now. Damn it. He muttered. 20 minutes and his entire savings later, Aiden walked toward the docking bay with a newly purchased datapad showing ownership of 2 Draari females. The merchant had been surprised when a human paid the asking price without haggling. It had made Aiden's poverty embarrassingly obvious. Syrinx walked beside him, the energy chains removed but her posture still tense. Ava clung to her sister's arm, her small wings twitching nervously at every sound. My ship's not much, Aiden warned as they approached the battered freighter. And I have no idea what I'm going to do with 2 Draari. You freed us, Syrinx said simply. That's more than enough. I bought you, Aiden corrected. Technically, you're still slaves. Freeing you legally requires paperwork, registration with the coalition, verification of species rights. Then do it, Ava said with sudden fierceness. Please. We'll work for you. Help however we can. Just don't send us back. Aiden stopped at his ship's ramp, turning to face them both. Here's the deal. I don't believe in ownership. Once we're in coalition space, I'll file the emancipation documents. Until then, your crew. Syrinx, you look like you can handle yourself in a fight. I could use security. Ava. He studied the young Draari. You ever work on a ship before? She shook her head. You're about to learn. Meals are communal, quarters are cramped, and I don't tolerate lying. We clear. Both Draari nodded, something like hope flickering in their golden eyes that as they boarded the ship. Syrinx placed a clawed hand on Aiden's shoulder. Why did you really buy us, human? The truth. Aiden was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the stars beyond the station's viewports. Because someone once told me that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers. It's that we never stop believing people deserve a second chance. Even when it's stupid. Even when it costs us everything. Your people must be remarkable, Syrinx said softly. We're idiots, Aiden replied with a tired smile. But we're trying. Come on, let's get off this station before I do something even dumber. As the freighter's engines hummed to life and they escaped into the void, none of them noticed the merchant watching from the station, already sending a coded message about the human who'd just purchased 2 members of the legendary cohort. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you threatened someone a human decided to protect, and it wouldn't like the lesson.